Do you know what? I'm so fed up with this scenario. I've fallen behind with the recording. There's a number of reasons, and I've actually looked ahead at what the next scenario was, and I think that would be a good one to to tell you a little story about how about it was about 7 weeks ago now. I went into hospital. I had to have I suppose a minor operation. I mean, it was still an operation, so I've been off for a while and recuperating. I'm back in work now. I'm fine, but I did think that whilst I was off work, I would have a lot of time to do the videos. And do you know what? I sat down to try, and it was a bit painful. And I just always found something else that I would rather be doing than making the videos. And it is just the fact that this scenario is just so mind-numbingly boring. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to export the save. I'm going to load it up on an older version of OpenRCT2. That way I can fast forward it whilst advertising non-stop. So I won't be using any real cheats that I couldn't do, nothing that I couldn't do on this without fast forwarding. But if you look, there's so much going on in the park that even on the highest speed, it's still very, very slow. So in order for me to fast forward through 4 years, it's just going to take ages. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to get to the 5,000, even though it doesn't look like we really need to. Yeah, and probably spam a load of stuff to get the rating up, and then come back and finish off the scenario. There you go. We have done some hyperspeed action, and we're now in October year 5, and wow, this is really stuttering. It's not so bad now. I'm on normal zoom mode. So initially I tried fast forward saving it via OpenRCT2, and then I realized that with the new save format it didn't work, so I had to try the old version, the last one that could save in the same save formats, and that didn't work. And I realized it's because I'd already saved it after running it on OpenRCT2 on the other version, so I had to do a fresh save, a fresh load, an export, and then it worked. So it took ages. I even tried it on my son's computer thinking it would be faster, but honestly, once you get into the hyperspeed, it just crawls along at like 1 frame per second. So yeah. So Earth Park, then I made a few mistakes on this one. The first mistake was that I should have approached this in a similar way to one I did a while back, where I asked you guys for suggestions for rides. And the second one is I should have probably carried on with the other scenarios and did this as like a background scenario, so that way we're carrying on doing the more enjoyable ones, because I can see from the views that it's not just me getting bored with this scenario. You guys clearly are board as well. So the idea I had for this was that, check the date, 9th October. The idea behind this was that I would go down the route of theming it after cryptids. So they are monster creatures that some people think are real but aren't. Like, for example, it's crawling. This is absolutely crawling. It's so slow. Mothman, or probably the more famous ones, Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot, etc., etc. Now, I don't actually believe in these things, but I just do find it interesting. That's all. So let's have a quick look whilst we've got some time. So we've got, I did also kind of theme them based on their sort of locations around the world, and these things are annoying because to try and make it more interesting, you got to try the design, you got to do the funky paths, but then that just makes it a nightmare for pathing for the staff and the guests and whatever. So we've got sort of North America here, where we've got Mothman, Jersey Devil, Loup-garou, which is like a French Canadian, kind of like a werewolf, but there's a bit more to it than that. Obviously, we got Sasquatch. This probably was the best video, Sasquatch, all the coming era people. Um, someone asked me, someone's commented on the video, like, I've got no idea why this has been suggested to me. And I'm like, do you like cryptids? It's like, that's probably why. Ogopogo, Lake Monster, kind of like North American version of Loch Ness. I was planning on doing like a Loch Ness maybe over in that section, but it kind of didn't fit with the desert. So here then we've got a banner, no entry. Good one. We've got Coblinai, so that's like a Welsh one. You might have heard of knockers or Ur. I think Stephen King, didn't he do a book on the Tommy knockers? And they're like tiny little cryptids that live in mines. Obviously, so that those myths were brought along with settlers to North America by the Celts, that i.e. the people from Wales, Ireland, Cornwall, Scotland, who would have settled in North America. So this is like an old Welsh sort of myth. And then I think after this, I kind of figured there was harder guest generation, but I don't think it is. So that was annoying, because I sort of aimed for longer coasters. And we've got Puka, which is an Irish, and that's broken down as well, an Irish one. And then we've got I just went changing sort of, I think there was some sort of Scottish one there as well. We've got vampire there, werewolf there. So we've got like a twin tracks. The only Mobius one I've got, because I was gonna do something along the lines of like one being a calmer ride than the other, so that one would be like the human and one would be like the werewolf. But then in the end, I just built it, whatever. And then we've got Penangalan. Actually sounds Welsh, but it's not. It's I can't remember the actual area of some sort of Southeast Asia area. We've got Yeren, Chinese, I believe. What have we got up here? We've got lag monster. We've got VJ40, I believe, African, giant spider. So I've kind of, in a previous scenario, I did one of these coasters called Jumping Spider, and it was only when I was rewatching it that I realized that each car, because they're one row and 4 seats across, each car's got 8 legs, so it's kind of fitting that it's a spider. So then I did this, and I've kind of made it into try and look like a giant spider, if you can see the 4 legs each side. And then gone the wrong way. We are going to pass the scenario any moment. One of the ones I think was one of the best ones, one of the best coasters, isn't it? Mokele Mbembe. I'm guessing that's my Congolese isn't very good. So it's a nice one there. Well, that's 30th. It's Halloween. We're going to pass the scenario. Any second now. Hooray! It's over. Cool. Stew. Awesome sauce. Which one is this? Oh, that's the station for the Ogopogo that we've already seen. I think that's everything. We've got so much space. Like over here, I was probably going to do like Yeti or something. Oh, we've got Stollenworm here. So it's some sort of like Germanic, maybe Swiss, Austrian, underground worm thing. Speaking of underground, so this is meant to be Lucarcol. My French isn't great either. It's meant to be like a giant snail. So apparently there's a town somewhere in France that's just got a giant snail. Like I said, I don't believe that any of these are real. I'm not a whack job. I just find the stories behind them are really interesting, because many of the stories will have been around for hundreds, possibly thousands of years, back when, in a time where anything that couldn't be explained was magic or supernatural or whatever. So it's meant to be, oh, the lag. It's meant to be like a giant snail. I think by this point I was so fed up, and then I'll explain it better in the next video, but because the next video will be a fairly long video, it'll be probably more chilled out. I'm going to take my time. Yeah, and so I had a bit of a bad stomach, to say the least, which ended up in me going to hospital and having my appendix out. So I've been out of action for a number of weeks, and honestly, I tried doing a video and it was a bit painful. I probably could have made it work. I just didn't have the motivation to do it. And also I had this new gaming handheld, and I discovered this thing called Pico 8, which is a fancy console, as in a console that never actually existed, but they've made this program that people can create software for and games for that as if it did. So there's limitations on it, like colors and size and etc. etc. So I actually started doing some coding tutorials on that and making some games for that, and that was pretty fun. And then I got hooked on a certain celebrity trial that's been in the news, and myself and Mrs. Stew we're binging that. We watched pretty much every minute of it. Yes. So basically anything that I could do apart from making videos, I was doing, because I just lost interest in it. And I honestly believe it was because of this scenario, and not because I'm bored of the game, simply because I was bored of this scenario. So anyway, I'm not going to do an outro. The video's been long enough. There's a playlist where you can see all of these coasters being built, and them being ridden as well, the POVs of them at the end. So sorry this series ended up being a bit of a damp squib, but yeah, hopefully business will return to normal, and I'll see you on the next video. If you enjoyed the video, and if you've got this far, please drop a like, because it really does help with the analytics and all the rest of it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.